Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders.
The RCWR Show, it's our Tuesday night edition coming at you right now on June 4th, 2013, 2 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast. What's up, everybody? Hope you had a great weekend. I know that we were actually on YouTube last night, but I know that there's some of you probably don't check that out. You probably just come on board, check out the Tuesday night show, and hey, we appreciate that as always. We have the chat room open for you in case you want to pop on in there. Feel free to do so. It's at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. And we definitely would love to hear some of you all's comments on some of the topics that we're going to be going over on tonight's episode. We're going to be going just a little bit all over the place tonight. It's going to be one of those type of shows. We're just going to kind of switch it up just a little bit for you guys. And we definitely would welcome you guys to chime in your thoughts on a particular subject that we're going to be talking about in just a few moments. If you read the episode description, then you definitely know what we're going to be covering. For those of you that didn't check the episode description, no reason to check it now. You're just going to be in for a nice little treat. Just promise you guys, it's actually going to be pretty damn cool. You're going to like the topic. And number to call if you want to kick on back and listen, for those of you that might be having some internet browser problems, as we know the Blog Talk Radio servers can be a little funky at times, you can call us at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. While you're in the chat room, or you take a glance at the chat room, as we know some of you are checking out the episode above the chat room, if I'm not mistaken, on Blog Talk, we actually posted some links in there so you guys can follow us on Twitter. You can follow our show handle, the RCWR Show. You can also follow our other handle at the RCWR Show. We even give you guys the Facebook link, which you can check out at Infinity One Productions. Try to give you a little bit of news that you can use. Try to switch it up for you guys. All right, so where do we begin with tonight's show? You know, traditionally, we follow the conversation from Monday's WWE Raw as we do a live post-show immediately after Raw goes off the air. We try to do our best to give you guys what all you might have missed in about 35 minutes or less. Pretty great if you're kicking back, you're hanging out on a good night with your girl, with friends, what have you. Or, hey, maybe your cable's out. You never know. Stuff happens, but if you don't want to sit through the whole 3 hours, it's really, really informative. It's really, really just all around pretty cool. And we've definitely been receiving some feedback, great feedback from our live shows that we do on Monday nights. And you can catch it immediately after Raw goes off the air. So usually on tonight's show off the break, Tuesday nights, we talk about key points from Raw, but I want to bring that up a little bit later, and it's actually going to be a pretty short show tonight, as there, unfortunately, at least for WWE's part, there's not really that much headlines that's going on right now. The biggest talk is about a certain guy who is not even a wrestler that has signed with TNA Wrestling, and I don't really want to go too much all into that tonight. We'll definitely be talking about that on Thursday night. But for now, let's just go on ahead and let's just have some fun with what I'm getting ready to talk about. Now, let's set this up for you guys properly. First off, my deepest condolences to the Gene Stapleton family, as Gene Stapleton, and if that name does not sound familiar to you all, especially you older cats, definitely 30 and up, shame on you is all I have to say. You probably know her better from All in the Family, which was one of the biggest Norman Lear TV series of the 70s. It ran for about 9 years. There was even about, I think, 5 seasons of the spinoff series, Archie Bunker's Place, where Archie had a little bar and all that. And We lost her over the weekend. I believe she was about 90-something years old. She didn't die a painful death from what we're able to gather. Looks like she was surrounded by close friends and family, and it was just that time that the powers that be came a-calling, and they wanted her to come on home. And I can just imagine that her and the late Carol Connor, they are probably kicking back for whoever it is, if there really is a big guy or woman upstairs, they are probably kicking back and doing their little Edith and Archie skit for them. But definitely a true revolutionary woman of her time. If I were to pick out a particular episode of All in the Family where I feel she just really showcased her ability as an actress, I would definitely have to point out Edith's 50th birthday. That had went down season 8 of All in the Family. It was the 3rd episode, and basically in that episode, there's this guy who is posing as a police detective, and he attempts to sexually assault Edith. And bear in mind, this is on her 50th birthday. And all this is going on while her family is unaware. They aren't even in the house at the time, if I'm not mistaken, as they're trying to prepare for a surprise party to honor her. And it was just one of the most powerful episodes of its time, because you didn't see anything like that before. And of course, she would go on to do other huge acting roles. True story. She actually had turned down the role of I can't think of the character because I don't really mess with the movie like that, but it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I think it was. I think she turned down the role of the mother or the grandmother, as it had conflicted with what she was trying to do with All in the Family as far as the tapings go. But definitely a revolutionary actress of her time. And, when you just look back on it now, as I was actually kicking back watching a little mini marathon of All in the Family tonight, gearing up for tonight's episode, her acting and the way that she had portrayed Edith Bunker, a lot of people, they would say, Edith was a dimwit, she was just a go-getter, she was always just acting like Archie's servant or whatever like that, but there was a very smart woman under all that. I mean, there were times where if she did not want to put up with Archie's shit, she would stand her ground, and Archie would just be blown away by it, and it was kind of like, okay, I better play nice and play nice ball with her, or she's going to just chew my ass out. And, it's definitely one of those type of moms, I definitely wish, I think we all, if those of us that saw All in the Family, I think we all wish that we had some type of a mom like that was always willing to go to bat for us, help us out, do all these extra nice, cool things that make us feel so special, always willing to listen to whatever it was that you had to say, never doubted you, never called you stupid, no name calling, just none of that. She was just so sweet. And, in real life, she actually was a very sweet and kind person. But Jean Stapleton definitely will be missed. Over the weekend, I was kicking back and I saw this ridiculous controversy that just started up over of all things, a commercial. And in case you might have missed it, General Mills, they have this new Cherrios commercial that's out there. And they're basically, let me set this up properly, the commercial, it has a white woman who's enjoying a magazine or something at a kitchen table. A biracial child comes in, cute little girl too, real cute little girl. She comes in, and she goes, Mommy, is Cherrios really good for the heart? She says some line. If you've seen the Cherrios commercials enough, you know exactly what's going down. And, the woman tells her, well, yeah, it's actually good. It's good for the heart, lowers the cholesterol, la, 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 la. And her concern, of course, is for her dad. As she says, well, do you think Dad will like it? And the mother's like, yeah, sure he will. So it turns out the little girl had put a bunch of Cherrios all over her dad's arm and chest, and he's sleeping on the couch, and he wakes up, and he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And the commercial pretty much goes off that way. Sounds like a really nice, touching commercial, doesn't it? Well, here's where we have those damn uptight conservatives and the dickwads, as I like to call them, that just kick back and they're just dissecting the hell out of this commercial. Apparently General Mills on their YouTube channel where they had this commercial, as they did have comments enabled, they had to disable them because there was so many inflammatory and derogatory and racist comments that were just coming in about this commercial. And what was even more shocking on top of that is to see some examples of people critiquing this video on YouTube. Some people making a 10, 15, 20-minute talk out of just one freaking 30-second commercial and just dissecting it frame for frame. One person who I had watched, and luckily I didn't watch it all the way, I probably watched like maybe the first 5 of 10 minutes. They were just frame for frame and just critiquing and just bad-mouthing it. And I'm saying to myself, my fucking God, it's a goddamn commercial. Let loose, okay? But it brought up a very interesting question into my mind as I'm seeing all this go down, which is, just how far has our country come? I mean, some people would say, well, we have an African-American president that's currently sitting in office. Yeah, times have changed. Yeah, we finally got a black man in office, but even at that, there's so many people that's crapping on that. We still have a country that is divided. We have a good majority of people that do not like the fact that Barack Obama is a black president in office, and they wish he'd burn in hell. Some of them wish a little bit more than that, but for some, they have enough common sense to not say that publicly, as you can be arrested for verbally saying you wish to do any type of harm to the president, as they take that very seriously, in case you might not know. So, you look at this commercial and you hear all this stuff that's going on, and you just can't help but kind of say to yourself, just how far along have we come as a society, especially with regards to interracial dating? I mean, we've got some people, and I definitely want to put this question out there, and it's especially for those that have been in some type of an interracial relationship. I definitely want to hear from you tonight and share your thoughts on this silly disturbance of this commercial. But, for me, when I saw this commercial, I will admit the first thing that clicked in my head, and it's just that old part of me as far as profiling. I can just walk in a room and I already have a photograph of that room that I'm walking in for the first time in my mind. I already know where everything is. So if you were to remove me from that room, bring me back in 15 seconds later, I'm going to know what's missing off the break. That's just how perceptive I am. For this particular commercial that I saw in the first sitting, I said, okay, hey, this is a change of pace. It looks like they're doing a interracial couple right here talking about Cherrios. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, that's badass. Right on. Never in my mind did I sit up and say, like some people, that white Mary Jane looking stick figure with that lazy ass black man. And that's how some people are describing this. Some people are being far worse than that. Some people are going as far as the N-word. They're going the gorilla route. They're going all that crap. Honestly, what I thought of that commercial, honestly, and I think anybody can relate to this, especially if you're a parent, and it really, race in this case, knows no bounds. You're concerned for your parent. You're asking your mom if this food is really good for them, if they really should be eating it, and the mom and dad are like, yeah, they really should be eating it. Yeah, it's really good for the heart, and it tastes really yummy. I mean, that's the bottom freaking line. I mean, if we're really going to dissect that freaking commercial, as far as the brother kicking back, sleeping on the sofa, honestly, for all we know, and based on how the background looked, it looked like they were living in a pretty nice little home there. It didn't look like a apartment or a condo. It looked like they had a little house thing going on there. For all we know, brother might have just got done working a 14, 18-hour shift or whatever, or he might have just came off of his second job and he was trying to catch up on a little bit of rest before he had to go back on out there and make some more money for the family. We don't know what the heck was up with that. I mean, there's just so many what-ifs. But the main drive was freaking eat a goddamn bowl of Cherrios, okay? Now, let's really break this down, and let's talk about interracial dating. And I know this from experience. I have been fortunate enough. I've dated black women. I've dated white women. I've dated Asian women. I've dated Hispanic women. Do I have a preference? Yes, I do. And it may tick off the sisters, but yes, I do have a preference. I prefer white women. And I'll tell you the reason why I prefer white women. There's really no hidden agenda. I just prefer white women. It's just like a little kid. You give them 3 options. You give them a purple freeze pop, a red freeze pop, a yellow freeze pop. Everybody has their favorite color. Everybody has their favorite flavor. And it's just because you can't dissect that for nothing. Now, for some people, they may have had some type of a traumatizing effect, and maybe that's why they dodged that color or whatever like that. But typically, you like what you like because you like what you like. It's just like when you go to a Subway restaurant. You order a sandwich. A guy behind you, he pretty much orders the exact same sandwich, but guess what? You're pissed off at him because he got jalapenos on that sandwich, and you are saying to yourself, jalapenos is nasty on that type of sandwich. He or she should have his sandwich the way I have my sandwich. No, babies. That's not how it works. Everybody is different strokes for different folks. Plain and simple, all right? Now, unfortunately, in some neighborhoods that you come across, you're going to have some sisters that turn a frown when they see a black man with a white woman. They look at that black man as a person who is disrespecting all African Americans. He's not being true to his people because he should be with a black queen. That's how some will dub that. They'll look at the white woman and little urban myth I want to just poof. You know why most African American women always have their hair straight out? Well, one, they don't want to walk around with a big old nappy, poofy afro, not unless they're trying to do a Jill Scott or a Erykah Badu type of deal. And even at that, high maintenance. You got to take care of that hair big time. But it kind of goes as far back, really, into almost definitely past the 1930s when you saw all those beautiful actresses and European white models running around, and they had that nice, long, pretty hair. And there used to be a time where in the bad times, as I like to call them, the slavery times. There used to be a time where some blacks, they would try to do all they could to adjust their hair that way in hopes of maybe being accepted more. True story. Don't believe me? Do your homework. I'm not going to, give you the hardcore history lesson, but just on your own accord, do your own homework on that. But, you got some sisters that'll look at a white woman and they just won't like the fact that they got nice, pretty straight hair. They got, nice, pretty straight teeth, and, they got a lighter complexion, and it just pisses them off to no end, to the point where they want to try to cause a fight or whatever. Or they look at that white woman and they call her a whore. Okay? It's true. You flip the script and you make it be a white man with a black woman, and what are the black men going to say? The black men are going to say, oh, that black woman, she a stuck-up bitch. She's a stuck-up bitch because she's going with a white man, and what she really needs is a real man. She needs to get away from that cracker and get with some chocolate. That's pretty much how they're going to dub it. Surprisingly, black man with a Hispanic woman, you kind of get a little bit, but it's not as bad as with black and white. And then you got your black and Asian, again, not as bad as it is with the black and the white. And, and keeping all that in mind, I'd like to tell you a funny story, and this actually happened, and it happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I was kicking back, and I was celebrating my girlfriend's birthday with her mom. And for those of you that are familiar with this restaurant chain, you'll definitely know it's pretty badass if you've been there. It's called Cracker Barrel. You go to Cracker Barrel, they got a shop section, and they have a section where you can actually sit down and you can enjoy some really, really good home-style cooking. And I remember we ate there, and we had a really nice time. And, as we were eating our meals, and, we fast forward, we're getting ready to wrap it up and head on out. An older white couple had came in, husband and wife. And I could just remember the husband, he was sitting behind me. And when he sat behind me, he just kept, moving his chair into my back. And I had to turn around, and I actually mumbled, this guy, it's like, this guy's not that big. It's like, I'm pretty small over here. He don't need that much room, does he? And, I know he didn't hear that. I pretty much said it, to my girl and her mom. And, as we got ready to leave, I just had this weird Highlander vibe is what I call it. For those of you who used to watch Highlander back in the day, you remember how Duncan MacLeod used to sense when another Highlander was near? And he would just stop what he's doing, and he could actually pinpoint where they're coming from. Well, I had one of those kind of Highlander, a.k.a. spidey senses tingling moments. And I just turned around, and that old white guy, the same one that was just trying to ram his chair into my back a few times, he's giving me this dirty look. And I told my girl about it. I said, honey, the way that guy looked at me, if I didn't know any better, I swore he was pissed off with the fact that I was a black man kicking back and eating with y'all. And she told me straight up, she said, baby, I really wouldn't be surprised. We are in the western part of town here. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, let's get the fuck out of here and let's go back up north. How about that? If it's going to be like that. But, unfortunately, we still have people that believe in what they think is old tradition. You drink your fountain, I drink my fountain. You use your bathroom, you don't use our bathroom. We still have people that unfortunately believe in that. And, if there was anything that was any more convincing to me that we are still living in heated racial times, I definitely have to think about when President Barack Obama won his second term. I remember I was on a subway train, and I was just kicking back, running some errands, and I saw this guy. It was a white guy. Every single cart, okay? Every single time the train made a stop and all that, he got on every single cart, looked for the newspapers that had Barack Obama winning his second term, and he grabbed those papers, he tore them to shreds, and he just kept on moving along. And when I say he tore the paper, I mean he just picked up the paper from the floor. You think maybe he's being a good Samaritan here. Maybe he's going to do some recycling or whatever, fight pollution, yeah. But no, he's picking up the papers, he's shredding them up, whatever has Barack Obama picture just dominated. He's shredding them up, throwing them on the ground, okay, going to the next cart, doing the same thing. So finally, this creepo, he gets off at the same stop as me. And I told him straight up as I saw him getting ready to tear another newspaper, I said, hey, genius, you should really sell those on eBay. It's okay if you don't like the man, but damn, why don't you make a little bit of money off those papers? You'd make a killing on eBay. I know, because when Obama got elected, I actually sold a couple of newspapers on eBay to folks. Just some food for thought, and he wanted to actually get into a long conversation with me about Barack Obama and why he felt the man shouldn't have won. I told him, I said, ain't nobody got time for that. I was like, I got to go, man. I'm just telling you, food for thought. Sell them on eBay. Make some money. Take out your anger that way. Make a little profit off of those that want to sweat Obama. That was pretty much my message to him. And, you just bear all that in mind. It's just unfortunate that, we are still living in these times where something as simple as a cereal commercial can just have America just be so heated in discussion about this, and it's dominating on the news. Here's some food for thought for you guys. CNN, Fox News, hell, NBC, CBS. Where the fuck were you guys when we kept seeing Walt Disney commercials with the Hispanics dominating? I mean, if I got to pull the racial card right here and go Archie Bunker for a minute, I'm not going to even finish that sentence. I'm not going to even finish that sentence because I'm not trying to get myself in trouble. Oh, what the hell? I'll say it anyway. I'm looking at the Walt Disney commercials with the Hispanic families, and I'm saying to myself, where's the white families? Where's the black families? Hispanic families can now afford to go to Walt Disney? Now, that sounds really freaking ignorant, does it? Yeah, it sounds very ignorant. And, once I realized I had said that when I had initially saw the series of Walt Disney commercials with the same Hispanic family or different Hispanic families, I'm like, let me stop. They're trying to get all the races in here. Okay, I get it. And when you think about it, that's kind of wrong to sit up and say something like that. But where's CBS and where are they talking about commercials like that? If you want to sweat a freaking commercial, how about that one freaking commercial where it seems like every time I turn around and you have, what is it? You usually you have a commercial with what's that cereal? You get a regular, you get not cereal. How come every time I see a freaking Pop-Tart commercial? How come the white person usually gets the strawberry Pop-Tart, the black person gets the cinnamon or the chocolate Pop-Tarts? Huh? And the Asian, I don't know, maybe they get like a blueberry Pop-Tart. How come the black one always gets the frickin' chocolate Pop-Tart or the cinnamon Pop-Tart? What's up with that? Seriously. you guys are hearing me, you're probably thinking, Lee, you're crazy. If you've never noticed that before, go back and pay more attention to the commercials. Just kick back a Saturday morning. If you've never watched cartoons or whatever's coming on nowadays on a Saturday morning, I challenge you to just kick back from I'll say maybe 8:30 in the morning until 11, and just pay attention to the type of commercials that you see. Okay, where is CBS, Fox News, all these other knuckleheads? Where are they when it comes to the Barbie commercials? When are we going to see a commercial with a biracial Barbie? I'm still waiting for that. An actual commercial for a biracial Barbie with a biracial girl playing with it. We've had Barbie for I don't know how many decades now being played with by a white girl. Well, they kind of answered to the black audience. They said, well, black audience, if you guys want a black Barbie, well, we'll give you guys a black Barbie too. Now, depending on where you look, it's kind of hard to find that black Barbie, as typically she goes under a different name and she's considered to be Barbie's friend. But they do if you know where to look right. And I only know this because my cousin is a hardcore Barbie collector, and he's got a freaking gold mine. He's sitting on it at least, I'm not exaggerating, he's sitting on at least $250,000 in Barbie merchandise. He'd make a killing on eBay because he's just a hardcore collector. And, it depends where you look, but, really, if we're going to be tripping over some cereal, let's trip over all the frickin' food commercials that we see and every single else. But on a more serious tip, honestly, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of this stigma. Probably not our generation. Those of us that graduated in the year 2000, I don't think our generation is. I don't think our generation is going to be the generation to really kind of flush it out. I think it's going to take at least 2 more generations before we finally get this flushed out of the system. And that's keeping in mind that, anybody can say derogatory comments on social media. It's a very powerful tool now. It's supposed to be used for the purpose of good, but we got some people that want to kick on back, and they want to make a mockery out of it to do their own ugly bidding. And, it's quite unfortunate, but I think we will eventually get to that point where it will be flushed out. Many of us thought that we'd never see the day that a black president would get elected into office. That's 1 for 2. Now, if we can just finally see a female get voted into the office, then really, to me, that will speak large volumes in the fact that we really have moved along as a society. But as far as racism goes, definitely at least 2 more generations before we get that out the system there. I hope you appreciated that in-depth look right there. I usually don't say stuff like that. I usually don't go into topics like that on our Tuesday show. I usually try to save that for Saturdays, but I just wanted to talk on it, something that was kind of eating me up for a long time now. And, I think it doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're transgendered, who you decide you want to be with, it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're happy, you're enjoying life, and that's pretty much the motto that everybody needs to live by. Some of us that are out there, we may not like seeing 2 girls walking down the street holding hands, sucking face. Some of us may not like seeing 2 guys walking down the street holding hands, sucking face. Okay? But, it is what it is. As long as, my golden rule is always this: if you just can't stand seeing stuff like that, seeing an interracial couple, all that, if it really just eats you up like that, nobody said you had to do that. Nobody said you had to live that lifestyle. And if you don't like it, that's your right. But that doesn't mean that you have to get all nasty with the verbal talk and the assault. You don't have to do all that. You can channel that rage into something more positive and maybe try to understand it, you know? I mean, what's the old saying? Don't knock it till you try it. Well, I don't know how far it goes as far as, you heterosexual guys out there saying, yes, I might try to be with a man. I'm sorry. Now that, I'm definitely not trying. I have loved Meow since day one. I will be with Meow till the day I die. I won't go a little more foul-mouthed until it's after midnight. But you all know exactly what I'm talking about over here. But that's keeping it real for you guys. All right, so let's take a brief commercial break. And it's actually going to be a short show tonight. I don't really want to kick on back and go all heavy in the wrestling talk, as there really wasn't that many headlines that came out over the weekend. I know we just came off of the Slammiversary pay-per-view, and Raw did their thing last night against Game 7. I got some WWE Raw ratings. I'll definitely share it with you guys as we go into just key points from Raw from Monday night. And we'll set up what's going to be going down Thursday and the rest of the week with our program. So just kick on back for now, and we'll jump into all that. You're checking out the RCWR show, Tuesday night edition.
Thank you for listening to tonight's show. If you enjoyed our coverage, be sure to check us out every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show for all the latest in wrestling news and beyond.
RCWR show's back. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders here. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out the great month of May. As you may be a very strong month for us, and, we can't take all the credit. We got to give the credit where it's due. We definitely have provided the platform to execute some really damn good shows, but it goes in hand with you guys that had checked out all those episodes, and not to mention the great guests that we had stop by the show. Beautiful and the lovely Miss Katie Lee Birchill, a.k.a. Winner. Definitely got to send a shout-out to her. We had the one and only, the Omaha Chainsaw, S.M. King. He stopped by. We had Steve Wolf, the Silver Screen Superstar, stop by. We had Titus Machiavelli. I feel like I might be forgetting one more person. We had our longtime buddy, the famous Justin Reno, stop by. So had a ton of great guests that came by last month, and you definitely had represented big time and checked out those episodes, along with the other episodes that we did all month long, and we definitely appreciate that. And we definitely appreciate the great turnout that you all had showed for the Slammiversary post-show, as that was a fun simulcast. It was really nice hearing you guys' calls, and we're definitely going to be doing more stuff like that. We're ironing out those kinks. We've come a long ways from the initial simulcast that we did, as that just had many hiccups in it, but we're definitely going to do that again. We know WWE Payback is going to be coming up next weekend, I believe it is, or two more weeks. Let me look at the calendar. I know it's the 16th. Let me look at it here. Yeah, wow. Time is flying this month. Yeah, it's going to be going down next weekend, so we'll definitely be on top of that. And quick programming note, we're going to have on the weekend edition of the RCWR show this Saturday afternoon, the beautiful and the lovely Miss Julia Hart. Julie Hart. And if that name kind of sounds familiar to you, it should. That's the ex-wife of former WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hitman Hart. She's going to be kicking back, and she's going to be talking about her new book that was released earlier this week. It's titled Heartstrings, chronicling her time with Bret Hart from the moment that they first met, leading up to when they got married, had kids, even talking about the whole Montreal screw job, all that. And it's going to be a good interview. We're going to be talking all things wrestling. Also give you guys an opportunity, as one lucky listener will be able to win a copy of that book. It'll be courtesy of people that we are partnering up with to make it possible. And definitely look out for more promos that we'll be doing for those guys. But we definitely got to show them some love, as they've been really, really nice working with us for this. And if you want to maybe get your copy now, you don't want to wait till Saturday for an opportunity to win it, then head on over to tightropebooks.com. You can get your copy that way, or you can go to Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. They'll have that book available. All right, so let's talk about just key points from WWE Raw. And usually we talk about maybe 3-4 key points. I want to just trim that down tonight. I want to drop it to 2 because there was really 2 main takeaways that I have from Raw this past Monday night. One being the McMahons coming back, Stephanie, Vince McMahon. You know, there used to be a time where when Vince McMahon popped up on Raw, it equaled ratings. Plain and simple. We love Vince. He is like, to some of us, our father, our grandfather. We just love that guy. We love everything that he embodies in the word professional wrestling. Even if he's kind of dipped off into the whole entertainment field aspect, he still reeks of professional wrestling. And we always just get that smile on our face for a lot of us when we see him, because for those of us that have been watching the product for a long time, we're reminded about those days when it was really badass to be a WWE fan, a WWF fan. Of course, the Attitude Era, but even before that, it was pretty badass to be a fan of pro wrestling, and it was courtesy of Vince McMahon. And, you know, there used to be a time where if Raw kind of struggled one week, it struggled a second week, Vince McMahon would pop up, ratings would come in, and everything would kind of be okay for a few more weeks. But that wasn't enough for the ratings this week. And keep in mind that on top of that, and it was probably smart booking on WWE's part in retrospect, as they kind of figured that maybe Vince McMahon wasn't going to be enough, especially since technically we saw him the week before on the WWE app for Bret Hart Appreciation Night. So they kind of went an extra step further. We got the beautiful Stephanie McMahon. We hadn't seen her pretty much since the whole Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar going to F up Triple H thing that they had going down. What was that? Maybe right around SummerSlam, I think it was, that had went down, that we had last saw Stephanie. And she's just been making sporadic appearances just here and there. Always love it when we get Stephanie in a WWE ring. It's just something about her that is just charismatic. You know, everything just clicks when she's in there. And that's the one thing that nobody can deny. When the McMahons are in there, especially when it comes down to Vince and it comes down to Stephanie, we are just captivated by them. They got our attention. You throw in this whole Triple H concussion, which is pretty much the reason why they were there on Raw, them trying to stop Triple H from having this match against Curtis Axel, as they have concern about the beating that he had took at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Looks like they're trying to get him to step out of the ring for good, it looks like. Eventually Triple H would come there, and he didn't like the news that he wasn't going to be wrestling Curtis Axel, and despite a very valiant effort in trying to have it his way, we saw him just leave the arena, but vowing that he is going to get his hands on Curtis Axel, which kind of makes me wonder, could maybe they pull the trigger on the Payback pay-per-view to make it be Triple H versus Curtis Axel, maybe in some type of a unsanctioned match. That way, if, that way the WWE, they can't be held liable. That's how I'm kind of going about it, because I know that might be a little bit too early for some folks. Some folks might not want to see that match go down at Payback. But on this night, and I haven't checked out the SmackDown spoilers yet. I haven't checked out the main event spoilers. I don't believe in spoilers. I think it just ruins the fun out of checking out what's really good shows that WWE gives us during the week. I just like to watch it with everybody else. And I'm concerned about the Payback pay-per-view. It looks like we don't have Dolph Ziggler coming back yet. I'm still not 100% confident if we're going to be actually seeing CM Punk wrestle Jericho, as we have Paul Heyman just doing all this work. Meanwhile, Punk, he is just not even uttering a word of wrestling. He's just talking about baseball and hockey and all that good stuff. He's talking about every other thing except wrestling. Last time he talked about wrestling was last week, and he said, and there you have it, I hate wrestling. So whether or not he is actually going to pop up at that arena remains to be seen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'd love to see him, but I'm just thinking from a really cool, man, wouldn't that just be badass storyline? It would be kind of really awesome if CM Punk stood his manager, Paul Heyman, and did not show up for this match to make Heyman just look like a complete ass. And talk about a really, really bad way to have that Chicago crowd hate CM Punk if that's what they want to try to go for. But I'm still not quite sold on what's going down with that. But, you know, thinking about the McMahons coming back on Raw, smart move for the simple fact that they were competing against Game 7 of the NBA Finals. This was do or die. One of those two teams between the Indiana Pacers, Miami Heat, going to be going on to the NBA Finals, take on the San Antonio Spurs, and now it looks as though Miami Heat, they are there. Game 1 is going to be given to us on Thursday night. I believe it will be coming to us from ABC, like usual. And probably be televised on a couple other channels, too. But for me, I like watching it on ABC with Huey Brown and Mike Tirico. I like those guys. Good combination there. But, you know, the Raw ratings, tease you guys with it. Very bad this week. Let's talk about it right now. And this may shock some of you guys if you haven't heard the ratings yet, but it looks like it pulled in an overall 2.66 cable rating, down 6% from a year low, 2.82 rating from last week's Memorial Day episode. Now, bear in mind that on top of all that, this week's WWE Raw ratings being the lowest of the year, it also was the lowest for a non-holiday rating. You got to go back as far as, get this, December 3rd of 2012. And that Game 7, that drew in 11 million viewers compared to Raw's 3.676 million viewers this week. That's down 7% from last week's near low viewership of 3.95 million viewers. So just kind of break that down a little bit more as far as viewership for Raw goes by the hour. Hour 1 drew 3.616 million viewers compared to the 3.490 million viewers just for the NBA pregame show on TNT. How badass is that? That lets you know that Ernie, Charles Barkley, and crew, they are doing their thing over there. And honestly, that's the best team I've seen them have in years. It kind of seemed like they was kind of, I would say, kind of struggling there for a little bit after they kind of lost Magic Johnson. But they've done quite well with the addition of Shaquille O'Neal there. And for the second hour, they had got 3.617 million viewers, and they did get an increase in the third hour, 3.795 million viewers. And that was largely in part to the Heyman-Jericho contract signing, Daniel Bryan getting in the ring against Ryback, and then, of course, John Cena in the main event. So, you know, it's kind of unfortunate, as Raw was actually, it definitely wasn't a bad episode. Let's get that out the way right now. It was a fairly decent episode. I mean, you pretty much had almost got an old school Raw type of feel to it almost. You had the McMahons come back. You had some great tag action there. What was that? I believe it was Randy Orton teaming up with Team Hell No to take on the Shield. That was pretty good. And then to see Daniel Bryan come out later on, do double duty against Ryback. You know, overall, you had a pretty solid episode, despite the fact that they just went all fumble with that main event match between Cena and Curtis Axel. And I'm not even going to go into any more details about that because we'll just run into overtime talking about that daggone segment. I'll tell you this. WTF, what the fuck? Let me see if I got this straight. You're doing a no disqualification match. Anything goes. Okay? You can do whatever. You can't, you can't get disqualified. So why in the blue hell is Scott Armstrong counting as the guys are outside of the ring? This was like the number one thing that was really trending in social media for us guys that know our wrestling. We're kind of like, what the hell are they doing right here? And I try to go into a little bit more details about this, more in depth about this on the RCWR show live. I don't know if you guys check that out, but you definitely want to piggyback after you get done listening to this. And just for that whole meat and potatoes, I would really just sink your teeth into that. I had some really, really tight stuff to say about that. But despite that little main event hiccup, the ratings, unfortunately, it's going to happen. And I know that there's some people out there, they want to say, well, some people, a lot of wrestling websites, a lot of folks, they're too caught up on the ratings. It just needs to be about the quality. Well, to those that want to say that if we were really going to operate like that, then there would be some TV shows that would still be on the air. Probably one of my favorite all-time underrated shows that I just messed with from the 90s was a series called Brimstone. It's this cop named Ezekiel Stone, that was played by 30-something Peter Hoffman. And basically, long story short, this guy had raped his wife. He took revenge out on the rapist, popped them in the subway train or whatever. Like about 90 days later, he died. And since he killed the rapist in cold blood, he went to hell. And he was in hell for about 15 years, and the devil, portrayed by John Glover, you all know him from his work in Smallville as Lionel Luthor, he basically gave him a proposition. He said, look, 115 souls from my realm have escaped my grasp. I need you to go back, and I need you to find every single one of them, bring them back to me. And the way that he took them out and gave them that one-way ticket back to hell, he had this special gun that had these special bullets, and he would just basically pop two in the eyes, and they'd go back to hell that way. Sounds pretty badass, right, if you're hearing that for the first time, especially our younger audience. Well, that show was awesome. All the episodes rocked. Every episode rocked, okay? And I'm not just saying that because I'm a hardcore fan. I can honestly tell you guys when I first saw the original run of the series, it was just that freaking tight. As far as Fox was concerned, the ratings, poor, they pulled it. It happens, folks. Whether some of you all want to admit it or not, ratings do play a very huge factor in some of the shows that you watch on a weekly basis. And this is a case right here where, if Raw continues to get these type of numbers, somebody's head is going to be served on a platter. They're going to have to do something to kind of get those ratings back up, because for them, the new standard is 3-point and up, not no 2-point whatever. I mean, a 2.66. I mean, that's, in today's age, some shows would be happy to get that, but, for WWE on a Monday night, that's not really good. I mean, in this case, it could have been a lot worse. I would definitely expect for their ratings to go up next week as they try to really sell the Payback pay-per-view, and they're going to need to sell the hell out of that because they only have 2 matches announced right now, and unless they're going to name something on Main Event and SmackDown, I can't wait to hear what the hell they got in store for next Monday night, knowing that the pay-per-view is going to be 6 freaking days away. So hopefully they get the ball rolling this week at least. But, just keep that in mind when you just think about these ratings, and it really, really does matter. I can't stress that enough. Yes, there's a reason why people are caught up on the ratings, is because they know that if their show, doesn't continue to perform at a certain level, it's going to spell trouble for the way that they are able to view that show. You need another example. Recently, daytime soaps, One Life to Live and General Hospital, One Life to Live and All My Children, they had came back, and they were available on a Monday through Thursday basis. Well, Prospect Park, they did this recent poll, and they had determined that the daytime soap viewers, they really felt tied down to checking out all those episodes every single week, especially those that are watching both shows. And they actually saw a little bit of a decline in viewership/downloads for those episodes. So what did they do? They decided to go on ahead, scale things back, and now you just get 2 episodes of One Life to Live and 2 episodes of All My Children each week. Some people are a little disgruntled by that, but sometimes this is a case, and this is a perfect example where it's all about the numbers. So just bear that in mind next time. Nobody's trying to be stuck up and be a little preppy asshole when they're talking about ratings. They're really saying, okay, if this doesn't change, there's probably going to be some shake-up, and it could be bad depending on how bad they shake things up. All right, food for thought right there. All right, so Thursday night we got Impact Showdown live. We're going to be simulcasting that for you guys on blogtalkradio.com. We'll also simulcast that on YouTube. And we definitely want to hear from you guys. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the fallout from Slammiversary. It'll be a continuation from some of you guys that had tried to call into the post show, as we had a couple of cliffhangers there. So we'll definitely take your calls on that episode. And then we'll also go more in depth about this latest contract signing, as it looks like Spike TV, TNA Wrestling, Bellator MMA have reached a multi-year deal with Quentin Rampage Jackson. Oh, happy day. I definitely want to hear from you guys on this leading into our episode on Thursday night. What you can do is go to our YouTube channel at the RCWR show. And we have a video that's up right now where I go a little bit more in depth about this signing, and I pretty much give my take on it. We did have a really cool cat that was posting comments about what all was going on, but looks like he had removed all his comments, which is unfortunate. I guess he didn't like the fact that he couldn't continue to go back and forth with me after I told him to, after I thanked him for posting his comments. He was very vocal, and he sounded very passionate about the whole thing. But you'll kind of get an idea what was kind of being said if you go backtrack and you read some of the comments, as we actually have a couple of other people that took the time out to comment, which you can see perfectly well. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of teaser of what type of comments you'll see over there, let's show some love to Metal Ruler 45. Direct quote: no matter who they sign, people were going to rip on it. If it was Batista or Austin, or, hey, they're too old. If it was MVP or Morrison or more ex-WWE mid-carders. If it was an indie guy, he ain't got a big name, so people were going to bitch no matter what. And I read that verbatim. If that sounded so wrong, the way that grammar structure was, that's not my fault. I just literally read that word for word. But you get the gist of what he was trying to say right there. But you can find it on our YouTube channel. It's titled Rampage Jackson Joins TNA Wrestling and Bellator / Todd Kenley Fired. Yeah. In case you hadn't missed that, Todd Kenley was fired. Joined the company in October as the new TNA play-by-play guy, and looks like it didn't last that long. We'll go more in detail about that, but in the meantime, just post your comments on there and let us know what you think about those two pieces of news, as we'll go in depth about that and some other TNA wrestling headlines. And I think that is pretty much it for this episode. I did want to take some calls, but I took a melatonin during the commercial break, so I'm trying to hang in there, but I can't fight it anymore. So if I don't wrap this show up now, I'm like literally going to pass out as I'm taking calls. But we will be opening up the phone line for you guys on Thursday night, so you definitely are more than welcome to call into the show. And I promise I won't take my melatonin until we get the last caller and I'm talking to them. I'll take it then and there. But I've just been having a headache all day, so forgive me. But we're going to wrap it up now. So that's going to do it. All episodes that you might have missed, be kind, rewind. Check us out, blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. You can also check out episodes on Stitcher. Use the same keywords, also available in iTunes. Check all those great places out and be kind. And like us on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. We've been getting a decent amount of likes on there. Show some love and give our page a like. We mix it up a little bit, give you a little bit of everything. A little bit of news you can use. Check it out. All right, boys and girls, great show tonight. Hope you guys had enjoyed it. Let's do this again this Thursday night. Everybody, be safe, be kind to one another. Take care.